our window at the back is 10 feet wide and 7 feet tall. The amount of frame you put around the window is up to you, but the overall dimension would be the same as that. Now, it's right against the back wall, so we have no perspective to deal with at all. We just have to come in the 1 foot, go up to 7, and same thing on the other side. Sometimes it's a good idea to do the same thing. What you did on one side, do the same thing on the other, if you've got sides that relate to each other like that, and most often we will. And then I'm just going to arbitrarily choose a measure for how much. I quite like a little bit of detail here, so I'm going to make mine fairly thick. And you try to make them all the same, and you go all the way around, even though our sofa will be covering a lot of this. I always want you to put everything in on this block drawing, this simple block drawing. So now again, I can't get very close to my drawing and my big fat head will get in the way, but I'm trying to make these straight. I don't know if they are, but I'm trying to make them straight. Also, you never just put one line. You always have to have two. It just looks better to have and then later when we add our details, we'll add many, many more so that we have some really beautiful molding, and these could even be French doors if you found a nice, beautiful piece of reference picture for that. And then we'll just add this in just to remind us that there's going to be something here as well. And our corners, we can put our corners in. So already it's starting to look a bit of windowish or French doorish. So, and hopefully passably straight. Now, so far we've worked from the back of the room, we're coming forward. That's a good way to work with a grid. We attacked the ceiling because it had a particular area of interest, and we made our gables, so it made sense to go there. The next place I'd like to go is our built-in bookcase. And a little elevation of that will show you that this wall is only 5 feet wide. And our bookcase only takes up 2 feet of it. That we go in 1 foot and have 2 feet for our bookcase and have 2 feet left over before the corner. Now, a good positioning for some of our shelving, this will be solid at the bottom, so 1 foot up and go up 1.5 feet, put the next shelf with a double line, go up another 1.5 feet to 4 feet and put the shelf in, and at 5.5 feet we'll put another shelf in and leave the top all the way going up with a little bit left over. Okay, now on this box drawing, all we really need to do here is just pierce the picture plane. So you noticed up here that we had to draw out onto your cartridge paper. So remember, on your cartridge paper, you're positioning your grid right in the corner, the bottom right-hand corner has to be there, and you're going to have to draw up onto your cartridge paper. You might have to do that for your bookcase as well. So this is a solid wall here right now, but we have to pierce that. We have to pierce our picture plane and put our bookcase in. Now the depth of it, that can vary. If you want a very deep, of course it depends on how the thickness of your wall at this point, very much so, but you can estimate it. So this looks to me as if in this choice it was 1 foot. So if you want an exact measure, you can actually take the measure of this foot at this point on the floor and do the same thing. So you can might as well do that. So again, we're looking at our elevation. It's 1 foot in, so we go 1 foot in. We start here. We have to pierce the picture plane, so that means extending the line at this point, extending it. We have 2 feet of width, so we have to extend our line here, and you can really just do one thing at a time. So extend, and then you decide how wide you're going to make it. Better to go too far and then pull back. So I'm going to try to make it about the same. Doesn't have to be exactly the same, but I'm going to try to make it the same as this. So it looks like it's about there. I can make it about there. So once I know how deep the bookcase is going to be, I can use my vanishing point to begin building it. I know it's going to go, let's do the outer side, the outside first. I know that it's 7 feet high, so I go up, I follow this along. This is all 7 feet, so I know this is how high it's going to go up. I know it's 2 feet wide, so I'm going to put this in. And I'm trying to use my vanishing point every time. Even though I have this line to guide me, your lines can be thrown off very easily if you're not paying attention, so you've really got to watch what you're doing. Okay, now I have everything I need to do my work. So I'm going to take this measurement all the way up, because that's the width of my bookcase, and it's on a plane that looks like this. Let's see, what color should we use for our inside planes? I'll use the same one. It's facing me squarely. But where does it end? That's the next question. Where does it end? So if in this corner established by the wall and the floor, I made a horizontal line, perfectly horizontal, just like all the others, that's how I have to stop it as well. And I've got a corner, so I just have to make this perfectly horizontal, and I'll have an ending for this plane. Now remember what planes are. They're just a squared off, generalized form, simple, of what could be something complex. There. Now, I just have to continue on. If this part of the bookcase that's level with the line of the floor, I had to use my vanishing point to draw it. It's a receding plane, so it's not facing me, not like that. So that means I have to use my vanishing point for this as well. So try to stay with my same colors. And I stop, of course, when I get to the wall. It's hidden. The rest of that is hidden, but not at the top. Here I've got another corner. I can use my vanishing point, and that will give me the underside of the inside of my bookcase. This is the inside of my bookcase as well. It's pierced the picture plane, it's pierced the wall. I've pushed inside my wall. So these black lines on the face of this bookcase don't really apply to what's going on inside. They do apply to the shelves though. So when we go back and have a look at our elevation for where to place our shelves, the first one is at 1 foot, so I can make a mark. The next one is at 2.5, so 1, 2.5, I can make a mark. And the next one is at 4, make a mark. And the next one is at 5.5, so I make a mark. Now shelves, it's best if you indicate them with a double line. So instead of just putting one line here, I can put 2. I might use a different color now, so I'll do, it's not showing up very well. I'll put one line in, then I'll put another one right above it. My pencil's getting a little dull, but that's okay. I'll put one here. And another line right above it. So they don't look like shelves yet, but they will. When I add the depth for them, they will. Okay, now below eye level, I should be able to see the tops of these shelves. These are all below eye level. This is my eye level, 5 feet. You'll recall that's where our vanishing point is, so that's our eye level. I should be able to see the underside of this bookcase, this shelf, because it's above eye level. Above eye level, so you see undersides. Below eye level, so you see tops. I see the underside of this, so I must see the underside of that shelf. And the way to find that underside and the tops is to draw just the way we drew this line. It's straight across, so that's exactly how we have to draw these lines, straight across. Now I'm beginning to see how crooked some of my lines are, but hopefully you'll take the spirit of this and not the exact rendition of it. You'll forgive me. My big head gets in the way. So you see, we're forming the shelves now. So this one is close to the eye level, so it's going to be, we're expecting it to be shallow. So much of perspective relies on constant practice, so that you know in advance what you're expecting to see, what you're expecting to find. See, I'm stopping here because that's where this plane stops. I established that at the bottom, I established that at the top. I chose that point, so I have to abide by it. Now, to draw the back of the shelves where they stop, you use your vanishing point, because that's a receding plane. I have to know how much wider it appears here. If I were to continue on, you would see, if this wall wasn't covering it, I would continue on, and you would see that the shelf appears to be getting wider as it goes along here. See, it appears wider here than back there. So then I'm doing it right. So I'm using this where those two meet to do this. Oops, I went too far, but that's all right. This is your simple box form drawing. Just important that you understand what's going on, that your lines be correct. If they're a little long, that's okay, as long as you can keep track of them. Okay, let's put a little color for our top planes. I've established yellow for my top planes and my undersides. So I won't be seeing many undersides, but I'm seeing top planes. And this is our underside, and this is another underside. And this is a facing plane, but we've also got this plane. This is solid, so I'm going to make this solid here. And the back, the inside, it's facing this way, so I'm going to make it this color. And this really does help to show what's going on in here. The fireplace is not built, it's part of it's inside the wall and most of it's outside the wall. The mantle and the mantelpiece and so on are outside the wall. So we have to go back now to our floor plan and elevation for information about that. The fireplace is 1 foot, half a foot. Make sure you watch what you're doing. So half a foot away from the wall. It only has a half a foot of depth, so it's probably just molding. But inside, it goes back in quite a bit, probably 1.5 feet. But we can just estimate that. We don't have to know exactly how far that goes back. We'll just estimate it. So our first job is to get the mantle in place. Now, it begins right out here, right at the front of our drawing. It doesn't go all the way to the back. It only goes back 4 feet. So let's create a box on the floor for it, and then we can move forward from there. So I'm using my vanishing point. I'm marking off what I think is 1/2 foot from here to here, 1/2 foot. But you'll notice I had that 11 and 12 on my other drawing, but I'm not going to go all the way. I'm only going to go back to 4 feet. So here's the fireplace as it sits on the floor. Now, the height of it, we can tell from an elevation as well. So the height of it is 4 feet. So it makes a 1/2 foot wide by 4 feet tall. So we have our 4 feet right here. Now this is tricky. You've got to be very sure. This is a facing plane. It's facing us directly. So just like all of these others, we have no perspective involved at all. So you've got to draw a very straight line here. So use whatever you've got to make sure this is as straight as it can be. And it's okay if you go out farther than you need to, because I only needed to go out 1/2 foot, but I think I went out quite a bit more. Now you'll notice there's a line that almost or just about lines up with this. That's against this wall, but that has nothing to do with this. It's in front. So that line on the receding wall has nothing to do with what we're drawing here. We're drawing a facing plane. So we'll color it our chosen color for a facing plane. If I were interested in what's going on the wall, that's a receding plane, and I would have colored it the purple color. But I'm not. I'm interested in a plane that's facing me. Now I'm going to put up another vertical so that I can see. It's going to be too long, but better to be too long, because I could use my vanishing point to bring this back and I wouldn't know where to stop. So better to go too long rather than be short and not know what to do with it. Okay, so I'll put this at the back. And now all I have to do is end this the same way I began it. I began it with a straight line. I'll finish it up with a straight line. So it almost looks like it's going to be against the wall, but it isn't. There's space there. So that's how we put in the front of the fireplace. Now we have to pierce the picture plane and go inside. It's important at this point to go back to our elevation of our fireplace and have a look at what's really going on here. There is 1 foot of border or mantle all the way around, and a 2 foot space, a hole, that hole where the fire is, left blank. So that's our next job, is to get that in. Now we can measure 1 foot back and put that in easily. If you're on your desk, this goes much faster. So if you have it all lined up with your parallel rule, it's a lot faster. It's hard to get this to, as I say, my big fat head gets in the way. So but now to get this foot, I have to get that from the wall. So what I'm going to do is take this straight across. So I know that's 1 foot measure from 3 to 4. So now I've got a point, and this is a receding plane. So you know that your receding plane, you have to use your vanishing point. I'm going to draw right across the front. I don't have to. I could just draw between those 2 lines, but maybe I'll do a dotted line just to remind you where that came from. So now I have planes I can look at. So this plane and this plane are the same. From this red line over to the actual wall, they belong to the same plane. They're this facing the same way. They're the same thing, only one is further away and one is closer to us. So that should clear that up a little bit. And the fireplace itself is here. The mantle, that's our facing plane. Now we have to pierce the picture plane the way that we did in order to establish the depth of our bookcase. We have to do the same thing for our fireplace. And we do it the same way. So we're going to take a line from the floor and just carry it into the wall and make space for the fireplace itself, where the fire will actually happen. So we're going to start it here. We're going to put it in this way. But we're going to choose a point halfway between here and here. And we're going to, if we're going to stop the depth of our fireplace here, we use our vanishing point. This is a receding plane, just like our bookcase, how we established our bookcase. That's a receding plane because this is. Then I'm going to take halfway between here and here and join it to this. Now inside fireplaces there's usually an angle like this. And this is usually brick along here and brick at the back. So since that's all I'm going to see, I don't need to do the one over here, but if I were to do it, you'll see this angle. I'm not sure I'm going to get it all on the page, but this angle, just curiosity's sake, would look like this. So you can, as I was saying, it's important to do one side, then do the other, and you'll get a better feeling for what's going on. Okay, so that's our fireplace. We've got this, would be all brick inside here.